Hello, and welcome to Canadian Lawyer TV. With me today, I have Charles Gluckstein. Charles is a partner at Gluckstein Personal Injury Lawyers in Toronto. Welcome, Charles.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell me a bit about your firm?
So Gluckstein Lawyers was founded by my father, Bernie Gluckstein, and it's a family-focused firm. We do personal injury, all types of personal injury, usually dealing with very catastrophic outcomes for individuals who have been injured in either accidents, medical procedures, slip and falls, or other forms of disability.
And can you tell me why you decided to become a lawyer?
Well, obviously having a father that's a lawyer is somewhat of an influence. And I always enjoyed the stories he would bring and the trial work that he did. He sometimes brought me along with him. But I think what brought me into the law was helping individuals. From when I finished university, I started working for a now provincial judge, and he was a criminal lawyer at the time, and I helped him out with his clients. I then worked in the criminal area for some time, working in the drug and gang unit, and really enjoyed advocating for individuals. At one point, I was working on the prosecution side, but I also worked on the defense side, but I really like to make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's what's important with personal injury is you're always dealing with individual families and trying to make an impact on their life. They've been faced with all sorts of trauma and adversity and going through a lifelong change. And if we can bring any hope and help them rebuild their lives, that is a great reward for us. So working with individuals is very important for me, and that's what brought me into law.
Can you talk a bit about how your firm uses technology?
Well, technology is a real passion of mine, and a lot of your listeners who may know me know that I like to talk about it. But basically, also from a young age, I worked in technology. I always enjoyed taking apart computers and rebuilding them. I used to sell video games at video game stores and was always sort of the resident expert on how to put things together and deal with the latest things. So in working with my dad and taking over the practice, I also wanted to bring all those innovations to the practice. I believe that technology can make us work a lot better for our clients, much more efficiently, and bring them better value. So obviously it's historic now, but to move to a paperless office was an enormous thing in the law. And we did that, I would say, over 15 years ago. And after that, layering the innovations. So the paperless system then led to paperless CRMs, which is a case management timekeeping program. And then moving to now what we're using video technology like we're using today through Zoom and all sorts of other efficiencies that allow us to work on the stuff that really matters for clients and not work on the administrative tasks related to files, because there's nothing worse than a lawyer having to lick an envelope, post a stamp, or type their own letter. Things should be moving a lot quicker and efficiently for those clients. We should be focused on the real work that has to be done, the real legal issues that have to be crunched. That's what the clients are hiring us to do. And that's what I hope the technology does. It frees up our time to do the really important work for our clients.
Can you tell me a bit about how COVID-19 has affected how your practice operates?
Obviously, the pandemic has affected us all, and we're just crawling out of it now to sort of see what the aftermath is. Although I'm in my office right now recording this session with you, the majority of my staff are working from home. So the first month after COVID hit was quite a shock for our firm and most of my colleagues that are in the practice of law, as well as everyone else who was affected by COVID. We weren't sure how we were going to be able to operate. It took, the legal community has to, as a whole, figure out a way to move forward. And we did so quite quickly by implementing remote programs like Zoom, a VoIP phone, and ensuring that all our staff had the equipment that they needed to work productively from home, high-speed internet and their computers, essentially. All of our applications are in the cloud, so we were prepared to pivot quite quickly because I had been pushing the technology button, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure that we were working effectively with the latest technology, and that allowed us to pivot quite quickly. In fact, the VoIP phone, which allowed us to use our office system remotely, was already in place at the time of the pandemic. One of the most important transitions, though, was to keep our legal staff together. We are over 40 staff. I think we're about 45 now. And to keep them together in a cohesive fashion and still report, even though we have multiple offices, to keep us together, I ran town halls. I'm still running them. I was running them on a weekly basis. And I think I've run about 30 town hall meetings since COVID has started to make sure that we all see each other on screen. We can discuss all the issues with the firm and make sure that we were motivated to move forward. So that was extremely important during this transition.
Can you tell me a bit about what the current trends you're seeing in the personal injury space are?
The pandemic has woken us up to what could happen with one of the biggest areas in personal injury law, which is motor vehicle advocacy around motor vehicle insurance and injuries that are caused from motor vehicle accidents. With everyone working at home, the roads became very quiet and safe, and thankfully, there were a lot less motor vehicle accidents, which allowed the hospitals to focus on other traumas that they were dealing with through COVID rather than the typical daily traumas that they dealt with road injuries and road fatalities, et cetera. So I think the personal injury bar, which does have a focus on motor vehicle accident cases, probably 70 to 80% of us work in that area. Our firm has, over the last 10, 15 years, focused more on medical negligence, birth trauma, and other types of personal injury. But a lot of my colleagues and their firms are now awoken to the fact that, without motor vehicle accidents occurring regularly, that would obviously affect the type of work that they do and how they manage their practices. So that obviously has created other trends in the business. So the legal industry, I would suggest, is starting to look at other areas of personal injury in a stronger way. I know that mass torts and class actions is an area that is emerging. For us, it's been medical malpractice mostly, where we've been putting a lot of our attention and resources and our expertise. We hired a top birth injury lawyer, Richard Halpern, over the pandemic, and he is leading our birth trauma unit, our birth trauma injury department, along with a number of us, including myself. We've also dealt with acquiring and joining partnerships with offices in Barrie with Steve Raston, Derek Nicholson in Ottawa, and that has allowed us to insert, our technology and our admin and our marketing expertise to those smaller markets and allow them to flourish. So there are some consolidation issues happening in the industry, and I think that will continue with some of the older lawyers, more senior members of the bar that perhaps don't want to invest in a lot of technology now that they see that that's a requirement, and they may look at selling their practice or combining their practice with other leading lawyers in the industry. And that, I think, will continue, as well as the fact that the pressure to have a 100% motor vehicle practice is something that probably is not sustainable 10 years from now. And I think a lot of lawyers have woken up to that, and they've realized that they need to diversify their practice. It's something that I preached when I was president of the Ontario Trial Lawyers Association in 2013. I was already pivoting and looking into becoming a medical malpractice firm rather than motor vehicle. And I've been telling a lot of the members of the bar to be ready for that. And now I think with autonomous vehicles and the slowdown of cases that have over the pandemic, as well as the increase in technology, cars are safer, there's going to be less accidents, there's going to be less work in that area, and you need to be ready to put your skills into other areas of practice where you can add value.
Can you talk a bit about how COVID has impacted the use of juries in trials?
Unfortunately, there have been no jury trials for almost a year and a half, it seems, in the personal injury realm. They are happening in family law and other areas in criminal law, but they're very restricted. So our firm has had all of our trials put over. We've had virtual hearings. We've had Court of Appeal and Supreme Court of Canada hearings done through Zoom. We've been scheduling judge-alone trials through Zoom, and a lot of our medical malpractice matters can proceed that way. Unfortunately, with motor vehicle accident cases, they tend to always be with juries. And all of the jury cases have been postponed and adjourned because the courts don't see that as urgent. And they've been putting that off in all regions of Ontario. My Central East matters, my Toronto matters have all been postponed. So how do you deal with these issues? There's been a trend, and there's some very good law that allows us to strike a jury. And you have to have compelling reasons. You have to have a case that's, really has been sitting for a long time, and really justice has not been served because of this delay. And if you can bring those reasons to the court and suggest that this is the appropriate case to strike the jury and proceed virtually with a judge-alone hearing, then you can advance your case. We have a number of those motions on the go. To date, we have not succeeded yet with one of those motions, but they're pending. There's only been a few cases that have been allowed. So the law goes both ways, but we're hoping that, because juries are, difficult, jury cases are difficult to run in these situations, we're hoping that the courts will be more flexible to strike juries and allow these cases to proceed. I think virtual hearings can be extremely efficient. I think they can bring a lot of, they can reduce the costs. They can force counsel to really limit their submissions, and judges can rule quite quickly. So I think virtual hearings are here to stay. I was part of the e-hearings task force that the Advocate Society put together with a number of organizations. I sat on it on behalf of the Ontario Trial Lawyers Association, and we made submissions to the Chief Justice of Ontario about how the rules should be conducted in an electronic trial. And that has now been picked up by other provinces as well as other countries as a precedent for how to run trials virtually. We know that the courts want to continue using virtual hearings even in the post-pandemic era. We're going to have hybrid hearings, we're going to have in-person hearings, and we're going to have virtual hearings. And I think that's true not just for the courts, but it's true for our meetings. There's lots of efficiencies that can be done for discoveries, for pre-trials, for all sorts of things that save you from traveling, even inter-office meetings. We have offices all over Ontario. It'd be nice to still be able to do the optional hybrid virtual hearing. And I think this technology has shown us, it's forced us to bring these innovations finally into the legal area where other industries have had it for a very long time.
Is there anything else I didn't ask that you want to talk about regarding your firm or your practice?
I'd like to say that COVID has provided a huge opportunity to the legal industry. It's also provided opportunities for lawyers to understand how to run their practice and for our clients. And the opportunities are immense. So mostly around the fact that we have found efficiencies through having to do this by force. And these efficiencies will bring all sorts of benefits. So as I've mentioned to the courts, we're going to be able to bring efficiencies in the way we present our case through technology, through virtual hearings. Those efficiencies will allow our clients to seek justice and get justice at a much quicker turnaround. It shouldn't take 3 to 5 years for a client to resolve their case. It should be done in a much shorter period. For the practice of law, running a law firm, all sorts of efficiencies have been noticed through Zoom, through other technologies that we're using. these things have to continue. Zoom is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not the greatest way to see each other. We need to think of telepresence, though, in a way that we can foster our communication, do it in a meaningful way. We don't want to be staring fixed at a screen all the time. Whether that's some kind of other artificial intelligence that comes in and gives us holograms in the future, but there are great efficiencies in technology that can allow the firms to run better as a unit, as a business, to service our clients, to give them the tools they need so that they can get on with their lives in a faster manner, and then, of course, to present to the court in a very efficient manner. So we at Gluckstein feel we're armed for that. We're ready for the future. We're always on the pulse of technology. We're here to really work for the client on their issues and not waste time on technology or administrative issues that catch us up. We're ready, and we're ready for that new future post-COVID.
What does winning this award mean to you?
The most important reflection of what we've done as a firm is what we've done for our clients. And the clients always come first. My dad started this firm, and he's been practicing since the early 60s. And the focus has always been to get our client restored into their lives as best as possible. We call it full circle care. They come to us with a problem, we help them with the problem, but that's not where the circle ends. We continue and we watch their lives go forward, and we become part of their lives. And that's our most successful achievement. We hope that that's the reason why our colleagues have considered us for that award. We believe we have the expertise to handle our clients' cases in the most comfortable way for our clients. We have client liaisons that help them, and we have some of the top lawyers in Canada representing them in their cases. I hope I bring efficiencies with technology and my, some of the same skills that my dad has passed down to me in terms of having that empathy for our clients and making sure that they are always front and in our view going forward.
Thank you so much, Charles, for joining us on this episode of Canadian Lawyer TV, and congratulations on being selected as a top personal injury boutique.